2 p.m. Central African time. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this episode of Nedbank Business Watch. Really delighted to give you what is happening in the world as well as home, locally, domestically, when it comes to business and its development. My name is Fisong Malo. Happy to co-host today's episode with Lungalele Makakwa. Tobin.
Guni, I'm good. How are you this
Doing all right, doing
afternoon?
fantastic. Can't complain.
I'm great. Good afternoon to our viewers as well. Thank you for tuning in. This is Nedbank Eswatini. Do join us. We are on YouTube. Our page is Eswatini TV. Have a good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Yeah, it's a very interesting show this afternoon, Lulu. In fact, more concerning than interesting, the stories that we want to uncover and unpack. Economist Sanelus Bia joins us today for a discussion. We want to look at the steep tariffs that have been published by President Donald Trump of the United States to South Africa. Washington slapping South Africa with tariffs, of course. The biggest conversation sits around the African Growth Opportunity Act, popularly known as AGOA, which has benefited from these trade agreements for a very long time, but seemingly right now is sitting on a very precarious position. South Africa is our biggest trading partner, and therefore every downstream effect, negative or positive, that hits South Africa equally hits the Kingdom of Eswatini. The Lilangeni, of course, is tied to the rand, so that is a big conversation. Our economy hinges on South Africa's economy. So with these tensions rising every day, we are then backed by the question, the big one: how exposed are we as the Kingdom of Eswatini? We put it to economist Sanelus Bia. First and foremost, we want to understand the shockwaves through Eswatini as exports to South Africa as well as to the US, as well as the rand under pressure. Is the Langeni stability at risk? And with the investors that are now spooked, does Eswatini need a new game plan fast? Sanelus Bia going to answer all of that with the diplomacy and survival at stake. How are we going to emerge as victorious, or at least on a sustainable path?
Yeah. Good afternoon once again. We've got lots lined up for you today. Nedbank and Enterprise Banking is a suite within the bank that covers your start-up businesses, public sector clients, and mid-corporate clients. At the core of the relationship with the bank is a current account that is opened by businesses within the bank system. SME consultant from Nedbank, Kosi Ngwenya, will fill us in on the requirements needed to open this account and also the benefits that come with it. Do stay tuned. And our lead story today: a total of 37 business and business support organizations have been trained on exploring market diversification, AI tools, and digital trade opportunities. Let's go straight to our first story.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back to the program. We are going to get straight into our business news.
A total of 37 business and business support organizations have been trained on exploring market diversification, AI tools and digital trade opportunities by the International Trade Center ITC in collaboration with the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority EPA with funding from the European Union. Anna Jakonskwa, Trade Information Officer at the International Trade Center, says the training will empower the local business community and expand its economic reach beyond the borders of the kingdom.
This workshop is on market diversification, digital trade, and AI. So not only does it leverage trade information and ITC market analysis tools, which are absolutely vital right now with changing tariffs and with evolving market conditions, so that Eswatini's businesses can think about what other markets they might consider, where else they can position their products. But it also builds on helping business support organizations and businesses think about positioning their products more online and making them more visible online so that as digital trade opportunities increase for Eswatini, they're able to really hit the ground running and enter new marketplaces. And especially we want to help use artificial intelligence to make business support organization and businesses more productive, but always being able to verify that the data that they're using is real and helping them mitigate some of the risks that can come with using AI. We have 37 participants with us during these days, and they're from business support organizations like IPA, but also from universities and from businesses themselves. And they're working in groups, working on Eswatini-based products, and their goal is to look at which markets they could expand into, to use artificial intelligence to build a new brand and a new business profile, and to then work together and present it in front of the whole group to show what skills they've learned and how this can really be used by businesses in Eswatini.
A local exporter who exports to Germany says the training has deepened his knowledge on digital trade opportunities.
In terms of the markets that we can take on, the different parastatals that are here, like for example, APA and stuff, who help us attend different food shows and stuff like that. I think when we go to these different food shows now, we can use these tools to have a better understanding of who we can approach when we're there in those spaces. But definitely I think the European market and even within SADC get a better understanding of how the bigger countries like South Africa and stuff are working and the different spaces we can find ourselves in.
The workshop is expected to provide invaluable insights and practical strategies that will boost the ability of local organizations to support the growth and sustainability of Eswatini-based businesses. It will also help participants to understand the power of digital transformation and the potential of artificial intelligence in enhancing business operations and market access. The European Union's support of this workshop underlines their commitment to sustainable economic development in the kingdom and their dedication to creating opportunities for growth and innovation in the whole continent. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
There are hopes that the Buy Eswatini 2.0 platform will be up and running in October this year. This has been shared by the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority's Domestic Trade Promotion Manager, Sipesihle Ngabinze, when giving an update on the platform, which is an enhanced version of the original Buy Eswatini initiative, an e-commerce platform designed to facilitate online sales and exports for Eswatini-based companies.
Since we've realized as the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority that the world, especially the trade space, is moving at a very high speed in regards to technology. This time around we are doing the AI presentations presented to us by the International Trade Center. So we are trying to ensure that we have the skill, the capability as the institution to assist our traders in adapting these fast marketing initiatives that are happening all over the world, especially using the artificial intelligence. We are revisiting our Buy Eswatini space, which is our online shopping space, with a partnership from Taiwan. we are revisiting our Eswatini. We are restructuring it again. If you remember very well, back then it was just a listing platform, but now we are integrating functions like a delivery, functions like a payment platform. So we are revisiting it, trying to make it very interactive in terms of making those sales, purchases, and also deliveries and payments for those goods that you might be interested, which are sitting on that platform. From our previous database, we had plus 400 traders on that platform, but we're looking forward to have more since we'll be beginning our interactive sessions with local traders. I think if by the beginning of May we'll start our Eswatini 2.0, which will have a larger group of traders and a larger group of service providers who are the payment gateways we have in the country. We are looking to partner with the EPTC in terms of deliveries, whereby we will use the current system that they are using, hoping that by the end of this year, ECOM will assist in the physical address system that will be incorporated in the system moving forward. We're trying to have formal businesses that have trading licenses, so that it can be easier for us to work with those businesses and also to assist them in ensuring that everything moves in a formal sense of things. We know that we do have those in the informal sector who are using platforms like your WhatsApp, like your Facebook, your Instagram to market their products. But in this case, for our pilot phase, we are looking to have registered companies that do have trading licenses that are in the formal lane.
Well, and that's it for our business news. Thank you for staying with us. This is Nedbank Business Watch.
30% key South African exports have been slapped with tariffs by the United States. We put hard questions to economist Sanellis B after the break to understand the impact on our own economy here in Eswatini.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. You're still watching NetBank Business Watch. This is our first live interview today, and we turn our attention, or rather our focus, to the growing tensions between South Africa and the United States of America, and what these deteriorating relations could mean, rather, for the Kingdom of Eswatini. For years, South Africa has been a key trading partner for Eswatini, and still is, and the Lilangeni, Eswatini's currency, pegged to the South African rand. The economic link has been central to Eswatini's economic stability as well as our growth. However, the current diplomatic relations, as well as the challenges between South Africa and the United States, could have far-reaching direct implications, and not only for South Africa, but also for the Kingdom of Eswatini. We put hard questions to economist Sanele Sbiya, who's going to help us understand these implications. Good afternoon, Sanele. Welcome to the program. Trump tightening the screws, not only to China, we had that conversation yesterday, but South Africa, even more intimately, to the Kingdom of Eswatini. Once a golden ticket, and now under threat, the African Growth Opportunity Act. I really want to understand how much these implications could affect the Kingdom of Eswatini, if they will.
Thank you, Mr. Nxumalo, and good afternoon to the viewer. It's a clear question and a clear answer. Those are deteriorating relations between the US and South Africa are actually going to have far-reaching impacts in terms of the economy of Eswatini. And if you recall, it's first started with issues between Washington and Pretoria, and then deteriorated into the tariff story, with South Africa being explicitly mentioned when those tariffs were being tabled. So now that communicated quite a lot, the fact that of all the African countries, President Trump decided to single out South Africa.
What is it really? Is it the Expropriation Act or the Kill the Boer song? What is it really? I mean, both seems hard.
Yeah, no, it's a combination of both, but mostly it is the Expropriation Act. And, earlier on, President Trump did offer, white South Africans asylum into the US, and was like, we're going to give them land and they're going to come here and farm. So right now, it's really not surprising that you're seeing these tariffs, because the whole point to the tariffs is trade diversion. You want to take those industries and you want to have them set up in the US. But yeah, when it comes to then the story of AGOA, I mean, if you recall back to 2017-16, South Africa was actually, they had a protracted negotiation with Washington in terms of reciprocity. The issue of reciprocity has always been there for South Africa, in terms of they were supposed to allow and liberalize some sectors, and South Africa felt if you allow those big US producers, those farmers, to export their chickens, for example, into South Africa, you're basically killing the local industry. So that's a story that's been there on the cards, and right now it is quite clear that South Africa should not even be thinking about AGOA going forward until and unless they can mend those relationships with Washington. And on the issue of AGOA, it's quite a gray area right now, because AGOA was a duty-free arrangement, so that we send our commodities to the US duty-free, but now there is a minimum 10% tariff and 30% for South Africa. So essentially nobody knows where AGOA stands, whether it still exists or it's no longer there.
Okay. Yeah. I do want to understand, I mean, we've seen 5% weakening of the rand since these currency pressures have continued to mount. Given the reality that our Lilangeni is pegged to the rand, will these have direct implications on, firstly, inflation, or the cost of living, or the purchasing power, really, of the everyday citizen?
So now that's one of the main worries that we're looking into, in terms of that exchange rate deterioration. So in a way, whatever happens to the dollar-rand exchange rate actually has direct impacts into Eswatini. And remember, we are a net exporting country, so in terms of what we consume, quite a lot of it comes from abroad, with about 70% of it coming from South Africa. So what we're looking into right now is a situation where we're going to have a dual pathway, where the interest rate is actually going up, the exchange rate is actually going to affect Eswatini. Number one, when we import from countries like the US and other currencies that are denominating their trade in dollars. So now that's going to be relatively expensive for the Eswati. So for your direct imports, you're going to pay more. And for the business imports, they're also going to pay more. And then that's a cost they're going to pass on to you as the consumer. And also in terms of, we know that Brent crude oil is actually denominated in dollars. So whenever you buy it, you pay dollars for it, right? And now with this deteriorating exchange rate, now we're also going to have to readjust that and see. So most likely we would see the price of Brent crude of oil on the pump price going up. But right now we are still quite cushioned by the fact that Brent crude in itself has plummeted to that 60 region. So if it stays there, we might not see that effect. And then another one, then Mr. Nxumalo, becomes the issue of how then do you survive with that? You are importing inflation, because when you buy imports at an expensive rate, you are importing the inflation into Eswatini. When businesses import, they're also importing that inflation into Eswatini. And also when we import from South Africa, we are also going to be importing some of that exchange rate volatility, which may not be as large as your direct imports, but we do know that South Africa has an input production system, and quite a number of the machinery that they use there does get imported from the United States of America. So now that's also going to be a bit inflationary, which we are going to actually inherit as a country.
I read an interesting fact before our interview. Let me not say interesting, but interesting can be, from a negative light.
Yeah.
Let me say a concerning fact. Foreign direct investment dropped nearly 40% in South Africa last year. The question then becomes, with investors becoming increasingly risk averse, does Eswatini have the resilience to remain attractive?
So one of the two ways you could look at it, Mr. Nxumalo, is if the GNU survives and the DA can infuse that semblance of business savviness into the governing body in South Africa, then we might see FDI coming back into South Africa, right? But also what this entire situation presents, Mr. Nxumalo, for the country is the likelihood of shifting production chains, right? The supply chains, because according to the WTO, there is what we call the rules of origin, where the country, where that destination origin, where that product originates from. So right now, if South Africa has that high tariff and Lesotho has that high tariff, so we do stand a better chance of realigning that production process, right? So we might see, the textile firms that actually flew to Lesotho when Lesotho played around with their taxes and quite a number of things. So now that might come back into Eswatini, and South Africa might want to restructure their production processes, or at least have a significant proportion of it happening within Eswatini, since Eswatini is the only country within the SACO region that's at that 10%. So we do have a bit of that discounted tariff advantage compared to our neighboring partners. So then we could see an increase in production, but you do know that supply chains take quite a while to adjust to whatever shocks there may have been in the markets, but there is that bit of hope, and we might likely see those shifts.
Perhaps something we should have done a long time ago, rethinking our economic alliances as you've always proposed, as well as diversifying our portfolio, but mostly importantly, doubling down on intra-African trade as it continues to prove that it's coming with a lot of opportunities. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. Sharp as always, Sanne Lesbia, our economist. That's it for this live interview. We have another interesting conversation with Khosi Ngwenya from Nedbank Eswatini. Lungelele speaks to her after the break.
All right, so welcome back. You're still tuned in to Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. We're now joined by SME consultant at Nedbank Eswatini, Khosi Ngwenya. Today, we're talking about the SME account. She's here to tell us more about it. A very good afternoon, Khosi. Thank you for joining us, Lomhla. Yeah, all right, the SME account. Tell us more about it.
Thank you, Lulu. It's a pleasure once again. A good afternoon to our viewers. We're going to talk about the SME current account, the Nedbank SME current account. And we are going to, SME current account is mainly for the business people of Eswatini. We are talking about the companies, big companies, the PTY LTDs. We are talking to sole traders. We are talking to schools. And we are also talking to informal organization or formal, like the likes of the NGOs, the NPOs that we have in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So let's get into the benefits, the requirements of each type of account under the SME account.
Thank you so much, Lulu. I'll start with the PTY LTD, because the PTY LTD, remember, we can have just one director, or we can have up to maybe how many directors that we have in the Form J. So for that one, we'll need the Memorandum of Articles and Association. We need the Form J that's going to list all the directors that are there in the company. We're going to need Form C if that business has been in operation for more than a year. But if it's a new business, really we don't need the Form C, because they're not eligible for the Form C at that point until the 1 year period is over. And we need a current trading license, the lease agreement or the utility bill for that premises or where they are operating from. And from the director side, we are going to need their IDs, their proof of residences. Okay. And lastly, the resolution, signed resolution. Let's just say we have like 4 directors. So this is a letter written to the bank to say we require to have an account with Nedbank Eswatini. These are going to be the signatories of that account and the special needs of that account. If you need a debit card, you state in that resolution. If maybe you need internet banking in the same account, you state in that resolution. So it's very important that all the directors sign for that resolution so that we see that it was a collective decision to open the account with Nedbank.
Okay. So, yeah, let's get into the benefits. Businesses particularly like loans, taking loans, for the businesses. What benefits come with opening the current account?
Lulu, I'll start talking about, because the conduct of the account or the business is very, very key, especially when it comes to making frequent deposits into your account, because it's very important, because some clients you find they open an account and then they just incur charges, but it's very important for the deposit to happen into remember, we are building a relationship here. It's a partnership between Nedbank and the Eswatini business people, remember. So that partnership, it should be a flowing one. So if we see deposits into your account, and that makes it easy for the business to also acquire loans, because in that way we see business so and so is transacting so much, this is how they use their account, we see the traffic flow into their account. So it's easier when you come into the bank to say, look, I need a loan for my tender here and there, because then we speak into what has been happening into your account before we look into the documentation that you've presented to us. So it's very important for clients to make that deposit also, so for that relationship, and and also because like we've said before, there's a state where an account is deemed to be dormant. When does an account get to be dormant? If the client is not maybe depositing into the account, then it gives you a period of 3 months. If nothing is happening in the 3 months, then that account automatically closes. That becomes a dormant state. And then that becomes an issue, because now the client has to write to the bank to say, can you please reopen my account, because you are not able to transact from that account once it has become dormant. So also that free flow, it's very important, Lulu.
So basically it has to stay active.
It has to stay active. It's very important for it to stay active, because also we are transitioning into the new era of technology, where people or clients are going to acquire loans through their online platforms. So it's easier, because the system is just going to track the the behavior of that account without having to come to the bank to state your case. You're just going to tune into an online platform, and then you request for a loan, and then that system will just track your behavior. So that's why I'm saying it's very important for that deposit and that free flow of the traffic into the accounts is very important, Lulu.
Okay, because you're saying Nedbank tracks their clients' behavior, the conduct.
The conduct.
So do startup business qualify to open this account in case they need to apply for a loan?
Startup businesses are very welcome. Like I've said, we just want to partner with Eswatini, whether it's the sole trader, whether it's the market people, whether it's hawkers. Like I'm saying, we are open to all sorts of businesses, startup businesses, because it becomes because for us to give you a loan as Nedbank, as a business, you need to be banking with us for at least 6 months. But let's just say you want to start a business. We have what we call the central bank guarantee loans. So those are meant for the startup businesses. Let's just say you don't have a company, but you want to start something. You have seen something that you want to do. But then that loan, Lulu, I need to emphasize, it comes with a mandatory SETCO certificate. So if you want to be eligible for that loan as a startup business, you need to go to SETCO, get the certificate, and you present it to the bank together with your projections, your profiles, whatever, and the business documents that you have with you. But it's mandatory for you to have that SETCO entrepreneurial certificate.
All right. So is the bank looking into, is it considering to transition to online requisition of loans?
Yeah, like I've said, we haven't started, but we are moving with the trends. Obviously, we are getting there. So, like, we have now the online banking system where clients, they just sit in the comfort of their homes and they transact. So we want to move into that platform as well with our loans. So you just sit in the comfort of your home, you get. But then, like I said, it's all in the conduct. That's what you do with that account in that period. So that's how the system is going to be tracking you. Instead of me going back to say, how have you been doing this? How the system is just going to automatically do that and maybe grant you the loan.
Okay.
So it's going to be easier, easier like that.
Right. So with the benefits, can they deposit their money through the ATM?
Yeah.
Or they need to
Yes,
contact the bank?
we really encourage the Eswatini to use the ADT deposit because it's very convenient in terms of the queues, in terms of the charges. You just get into the ADT, you put in your money, you are good to go.
Yeah, speaking of convenience as well, let's talk about the Pocket POS. You did launch it last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, can they also use it for this
for the current account?
Yeah.
Yes, we've got this beautiful gadget. It's very beautiful, this gadget enables that once you have your clients, they can tap. It's a I don't know if you've seen it. It's a phone size gadget that clients can just tap into. Let's just say you are a hawker, you are selling your fruits by the bus rank. Once you have that gadget, and also the good thing about it, you don't have to be banked with Nedbank. That's the beautiful part. You can be banked with any other institution, but then the device is linked to that account. It should be a current account, most importantly. So it is linked to wherever you are banked. So your clients can just tap, and the money just goes into your account.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So another thing I wanted to talk about, important things, the KYC. How important is it for your clients to update their information?
Oh, Lula, I can't speak enough or emphasize enough about that one. It's very important for our clients to do the KYC. It's very important. We also want to know our clients. We also want to know if there are changes that have happened with them. Most importantly, the operations state of those accounts. So it's very key. So because it's not even something that you do it every year, but 3 years you come and do your KYC. And usually we send out SMSs, we send out emails to say, Guti, you are due for KYC. It's not just like you find your account not working because of the KYC, but we do alert our clients we are due to bring in your KYC, we are due to bring in your KYC. So we really encourage that, because also when you come to the bank, you find that you get to know and learn about new products that we have while we are just sitting there and discussing, because also just opening an account and just leave it to fate, it's not enough. So the frequent visit to the bank to say, what else is there? What else can I get? What else can the bank do for me? So it also helps us to have that conversation with the clients.
Okay, so how long does it take to open the account, the current account?
The current account,
Yeah.
Lulu, our turnaround time now, it's a day.
Okay.
For opening.
With all the requirements.
With all the
takes a day.
requirements. Once you bring everything in a day, you have that account and you are ready to start doing business.
Okay, so lastly, your contact details, if they want more information on this account, where do they contact you?
For more information, you can visit any of our Nedbank branches, and you can also call our help desk at 3278 1999 or 3278 1000. You can also find us on Facebook, Nedbank Eswatini, or on X, still Nedbank Eswatini.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, can they also make use of the Nedbank app should they need to deposit money into their account?
Should I need to deposit? You can do an EFT into your account through the online platform. So it will depend, the deposit is it from which account. But like I'm saying, you can transact from any of the banks into our account.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Smakulu Kosi. Well, there you have it, the current account. If you want more details, to visit Nedbank's Eswatini, any branches countrywide for the current account. It's as easy as that to open the accounts, just as long as you have all the requirements that are listed. Let's take a break. Sabia Kwanamaj.
Welcome back in our Enterprise Watch. Today, the Regional Development Fund is now open for applications. Each region is usually allocated approximately 2.85 million emalangeni. This is a fund that is intended to support businesses and projects that can drive growth and development in each of the country's 4 regions. In response to this opportunity, our business journalist Nelson Ndlagamandla sits down with Franz Shabangu from the Ministry of Tinkhundla Administration and Development, and he provides details on how Eswatini can apply for this fund and what requirements must be met.
Thank you for joining us on Nedbank Business Watch, Mr. Shabangu. It's the beginning of the year, government financial year. So I just thought let's revisit the Regional Development Fund, since Eswatini are now venturing into entrepreneurship and businesses. So I wanted to find out what are the requirements and the criteria for a certain business or an infrastructural project to get funding from the Regional Development Fund.
There are 3 basic requirements under RODF. The first requirement is the number of the beneficiaries, the number of the people required to be there. Only 10 people. That is the first requirement. Second requirement is the raising of 10%. You must have something like 10% or in kind. Is 10% as cash or in kind? We, as micro project, we help you to count as to how much is your 10%. Let's say your project is 100,000. 10% is 10,000. Then if it is in kind, we work out the 10%. If maybe it's a structure, we evaluate the structure. The third requirement is registration. You have to be a registered entity. It's either you become a company or cooperative. So those are the 3 basic requirements. Then there are other requirements, like you must have a business plan. Before you do anything, you must have a business plan so that we may know the output of your business. So those are the basic requirements under ROTF. Then from there, you can get the application form, which is based at Tinkhundla. level. So you take the application form, you fill it, then there are other requirements. There are just small requirements like letter from umphakathi, letter from the beneficiaries. Then you must have something like bank statement attached there. List of the beneficiaries attached there on the application form. You take the application form from there, you take it with all the requirements, then you take it to inkundla level, the umphakathi. You start at umphakathi. Then umphakathi will do the checklist, check whether everything has been filled. Then from there, from umphakathi, it will be taken by buqopho to inkundla. From inkundla to the RS office. Then us as micro project, we take it from there. We go and check the form is sitting down as a, but they call it RDFTC, Regional Development Technical Committee. We appraise the application form, checking whether everything has been filled, and then we take it from there to the beneficiaries where you are working, maybe where you meet as the applicants. We sit down with you, we check everything with you, whether everything is okay. Then we finish the appraisal from there. We take it from there, we check if ever you do qualify as applicants. Then from there, it will be taken to a meeting called the RDFC, which is the Regional Development Committee. Those are the regional MPs. Regional MPs, that is where they approve your application form. Then from there, it is taken to the PS for endorsement. That is when we start working on your project. If either we are buying something, or maybe it's a tractor, or it's a transport, we buy it from there. But what used to happen is, from there, we do not give you money. We never give a person money. We are going to procure what you want. If you want a tractor, we'll buy the tractor for you. If you want feedlot, we'll buy everything for you for the feedlot. We do not give people money.
It is widely known that there should be at least 10 people before applying for this fund. Can these people be from the same family, say an extended family?
You can be from the same family, but you cannot be in the same committee as a family. Like, say, your husband or and a wife, they cannot be in the committee, but they can be on the same project, maybe in the same association. But if it's an extended family, it's not a problem there. They can be like, in our case, a cousin is not a family member in this case. It's not really a blood relative. Like maybe cousins, a child to your sister, a child maybe to your cousin, maybe auntie. We do not say that person is a relative. But you can be in the same, those people can be in the committee.
How much is the borrowing ceiling for this fund? Let me say we have a project of up to 1 million emalangeni. Can we get assistance from this fund?
It depends on the cost of the project. Some projects per inkundla per year, there is one project, it 2.5 million. Mm-hmm. It depends on the projects, really. That's why you find that some projects are not even more than 200,000. Some are more than 500,000. Some are more than 2 million. But then the inkundla will be trying to say maybe if now the projects are more than 2.58 million, that is where they will tell the group that no, we do not have money now. Yes, but otherwise, if like now is the beginning of the year, you can come up with a project of more than 2 million because the money is there now. But some, it depends on the culture of that Inkundla, whether they will say they will want to fund this type of projects. So it will depend on the Inkundla. Really, per Inkundla is 2.8 million per Inkundla. So maybe it cannot be exceed, your grant cannot exceed 2.8 million. So, but it depends on the price, maybe on the cost of your project. It can be 2.7 million, but not above 2.8 million.
Do you have projects that fail, and what are some of the challenges that you see as you do your screening?
Some of the projects, they are more than the 2.8 million. You find that we put them aside. Yes, some are, and some they do not meet the requirements. It just you find that what is needed in the application form is not there. That's why you find that we cannot continue with the project. Some of the projects, since they are in the rural areas, the conflicts in the rural areas, they cause those projects maybe to fail. There are some conflicts in the rural areas that cause the project not to proceed. Sometimes you find that they are at a stage that where we have to start, but because of conflicts, maybe we sometimes stop. We cannot go on with this project.
You mentioned the issue of conflict, Mr. Shabangu, and Eswatini have always raised the concern that the 10 people is too many. We cannot have the same vision and we cannot want the same goals. Utawuchamga lo munye sekathi kungaphela umnyaka, ayi mina sengifuna kuphuma kule nhlangano. Sibonile litiko ukuthi ngaphambilini lichazile ukuthi kukhona leli kubukako leli kwendako. We just want to know ukuthi engabe lokho sekhambe kangakanani.
It's a problem. The 10 is a problem. We have seen that. And some of the projects, we start them, but on the way they just fail because of the number. Yeah, the number is too much. But that issue is with the ministry now. They are working on it. We are not sure whether we will continue with the 10. But as for now, we are still working with the 10. But we still do not have the answer from the ministry whether we can cut the number. But I don't think it will happen. The 10 is for now is there, but it depends. We'll see on it as to what they are going to do.
I would have loved to know, Mr. Shabangu, what kind of projects are given priority at the moment, but because we've got only 10 minutes on Enterprise Watch, I guess you will come back sometime just to unpack that for us. Thank you so much for joining us on Nedbank Business Watch today.
All right, that is business journalist Nilsiwe Nhlangamandla having a conversation with Francis Shabangu. We now get into the last segment of the program, which is today's market analysis with Toba Kamete from Nedbank. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Nedbank Business Watch. This is the last segment of the program. Thank you for staying with us. We're now joined by Toba Kamete, as mentioned. Is going to take us through today's market analysis. A very good afternoon, Toba. Thank you for joining us. Breaking news this afternoon. China will impose 84% tariffs from on goods, U.S. goods from Thursday, which is tomorrow. Is there a possible trade war looming? What's going to happen next?
Thank you, Lulu, and good afternoon to you and your viewers. So yes, China has responded within the last few minutes or within the last hour to say that they are increasing their tariffs on U.S. exports to 84%, which was a response to the U.S.'s announcement yesterday of increasing the duties on goods from China from 54% to 104%. So it is safe to say that we are in a trade war, or we are getting there, and markets are as expected, absorbing the shock with the utmost shock. We're seeing the volatility in the currencies and all other indicators.
Yeah, so what could be President Trump's response from this?
A very unpredictable president. So it's, I wouldn't really be sure to say what his next move will be. He's likely going to counter it with an additional tariff on top of what he has already put on the table. But we'll obviously just wait and see how that unfolds.
Okay, so who is at an advantage from this increase by China?
Okay, so in terms of currencies, I'll speak to in terms of the current levels that we are seeing. We are obviously seeing the currencies reaching levels that we haven't seen in a very long time.
Okay.
We're seeing the rand, we saw the rand rather this morning reaching levels of 19.82. The highest that we've seen for the rand on record is 19.92, which was in June 2023. At the moment, trading at 19.7425. The euro as well, 21.81, and the pound at 25.33. To your question, those who can take advantage of these rates are our exporters. Who receive foreign currency, because it means then that they'll be converting their foreign currencies to emalangeni at these high rates that we are seeing prevailing in the market.
And it's all red today.
Yes. So the rand is taking a bit of a knock. Maybe a bit is an understatement, but yeah, at the back of the tariffs, the rand is quite a volatile currency that reacts to market sentiments. So market sentiments are very sour at the moment, and as such, the rand is taking a knock. Second to that is obviously the instability within the national government of unity, where there has been that tit for tat between the two major parties in terms of the budget and all of that. But primary cause is the tariffs that we are seeing. So it's the global sentiments.
Okay, so let's just move on to commodities. How is oil reacting to the 84% tariff hike by China?
So oil is significantly down. Currently trading at 62.17. That is a 4-year low. I think the last time we saw levels of about $64 per barrel was in 2021. So it's significantly lower. You can see on a screen that it actually dropped 6.7%. That is due to a couple of things, but the primary thing is the fears of the effects of the tariffs that are being thrown around between the major economies. China is the biggest consumer of oil. So if China is producing less, or if their production is sort of impacted or lowered, then it means there will be less demand for oil. Hence, that is putting pressure on the price of oil. Second to that is also OPEC Plus saying that they will be increasing their output, in May 2025, so next month. So that has also put a bit of pressure on the price of oil.
Okay, so let's just take a look at equities today. S&P 500, what's happening there today?
The equities are not spared either. As you can see, it's red across. The S&P 500 is down 1.57%, trading sub 5,000 US dollars at 4,982.77. It goes back to the sentiments in the market. With uncertainty, people then tend to, or investors rather than tend to shy away from investments that are risky. So, and what this trade has created, or rather this tension has created, is that uncertainty in the market. The FTSE as well is significantly down, 2.44% at 7,716.94 pounds. Same story. Leading companies or sectors that have lost value in their share prices today in the FTSE is around pharmaceutical or the healthcare sector, as well as energy. The healthcare, because that's one of the sectors that Trump has said that he will be imposing tariffs on. You've got companies like AstraZeneca, GSK, that have shown a decline in their share price today. In the energy sector, because of the oil price going down, then it means companies in the energy sector are going to take a knock in their share price as well. Likewise, the JSE All Share Index in South Africa is also down 0.82%.
All right, just still on Trump's tariffs, the Bank of England has warned UK is exposed to risks of global hits from Trump's tariffs. Can you anticipate that happening to many countries in the world?
Yeah, definitely. We can anticipate that. I think with what the Bank of England is saying is that, they are quite at risk because they have an open economy, these movements in the global economy are going to affect them significantly. So with all these countries having these different tariffs coming from the US, then we would expect that there's been a lot of risk that is presented in their economies, and there will be a lot of growth concerns and a lot of uncertainty that is built up in terms of now cost of things are going up. There's also inflation pressures because prices are likely then also going to go up with these tariffs. So there's quite a lot of things that are in the air, if I can put it like that, in most countries. But yeah, it's a wait and see game how this pans out.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, Toba. As we wait for Trump's response, can we expect it tomorrow? Tomorrow morning?
So the US just opened, so we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out of the White House today.
All right, thank you so much. All right, that was Toba Kavete from Nedbank Eswatini for today's market analysis. Well, there you have it, and the numbers do show that definitely a trade war is looming between China and the US after China has announced 84% tariffs from Thursday, which is tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We did talk to Kosi Ngwenyos, the SME consultant from Nedbank Eswatini, on Nedbank's current account. For more information, do contact them or visit any one of their branches countrywide for you to open that current account. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for Market View at exactly 2 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.
Welcome to St Mary's.
It's a good run off the post and in this time. Turned goalwards by Asensio. Villa have their winner.